Welcome to William Steele True Crime and Podcast. This is William Steele. I thank you for joining me on Inmate to Roommate on A&E Network, a phenomenal reality show that's blowing up in the ratings. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about my special guest today, MagChop Kenny, dear friend of mine. MagChop was a gang member in Chicago, moved to Florida, turned his life around at the urging of his mother, and then took an interest in lowriders, artwork, and movies. This man is now a prolific artist. His artwork has been featured in many major films, and he's a good friend. He's befriended me, and since I got out of prison, he was one of the early supporters of me and me of him, and I'm honored to have him on my show. And he's currently right in the middle on December 1st, in the middle of a huge art fair, displaying his art at another art show that's connected with Art Basel. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. I'm a Brooklyn guy. But anyway, without further ado, my friend, MagChop Kenny. Welcome to the show, man. MagChop Kenny. How you doing, MagChop?
What's up, man? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. I'm glad to have you. Let's just set the stage for this. So we met through mutual friends here several months ago. When I first got out of prison, I started learning how to use social media. Everybody knows I did 18 years. I got a reality show, Inmate to Roommate on A&E. And so probably a lot of people I was getting responses from didn't believe me because we weren't allowed to talk much about it in those days. I had a non-disclosure. But
yeah.
I
remember when I met you, there was like certain things you couldn't tell me.
Right.
I had questions.
Yep. So I went down to Florida a few months ago. I'm filming in Indiana. I'm from New York City. And one of the few people I looked up when I was down there, besides Tom Madden and Gary Greenberg, Tom Madden from Transmedia, was you, because I met you, essentially through that whole circle. And so we connected in Boca Raton. We hung out for a few hours. We didn't do much together because we were on a tight schedule, and life happens. So, but I do remember that I was able to leave you some books, and I do remember this.
Yes. Yeah, I have the books. I got them signed, and thank you for showing the mug. Yes, and that mug's cool because it's actually discontinued. You cannot get that one anymore. Yep. I think I may have 3 of them left that I might, put up still, but there it is.
And you autographed it to me, man. Thank you. So that's going to go up on a special shelf when we get settled in our permanent place. But in the meantime, man, you have a fascinating story. I did time. You have a background where you grew up in Chicago. You got involved at an early age in gangs and doing some wrong stuff. And who steps in? But, the number one in everybody's life, mom. So, MagChop, introduce yourself to my audience, to my fans. Please support MagChop and tell us who you are, man.
All right, my name is Kenny, and they call me Kenny MagChop Ruiz. I started my company about 10 years ago. I grew up in Chicago. I live now in Pompano Beach, Florida, a beautiful little sea town. It's growing into a city. I got to tell you that.
Right.
But I got in a young age, I got involved with. At first, I was just out on the street. It was a whole different world back in the 80s and 90s. I was 10 years old. I would get on my bike, go on the bus, go across the city. I got involved in a lot of graffiti stuff, which I enjoyed, but I ended up, graduating into gangs, and I started getting into a lot of trouble. And my mom was like, "Listen, I'm not losing my son to the streets." She had just, her and my father had parted ways. It was a rough, very, very disappointing end to a beautiful marriage, and life was just taking a detrimental turn. So my mom said, "I'm not losing you to the streets," and she relocated me down to here in South Florida, in Pompano Beach.
What year was that you got out of Chicago finally?
So I moved down here in the last 2 months of November of '93.
So you were a young kid then, as you were a young teenager.
Oh yeah. It was my sophomore year of high school, and so the theme was I got bit by everything. I got bit by a man of war. The roaches down here are huge and they fly. So there was a lot of nature going on that I wasn't used to.
And they're loud. They're called, what the hell are they called again? Palmetto bugs.
Palmetto bugs. Yeah, they gave them a fancy name. And I was like, no, that's a roach. I'd never seen a possum. You got, my cat fought an alligator. It was just too much nature. I moved back to Chicago like a knucklehead. I stayed there for 2 years, and sure enough, it's only a matter of time before people start looking at you a certain way, and I got shot at. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take my chances with the lizards. And I came back to Florida, and I've been here ever since.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Like, I know you probably let's not name gangs. We don't need to do that. But like,
Right.
for example, what was like, one of the worst things that you were doing? I mean, you were running dope, guns. I mean,
well, we were brawlers, and we were the foot soldiers, so we were the fighters, and drive-bys were something that we I had partaken in. And,
so had your life not taken a different turn, you might be spending the rest of your life in a prison up north.
Let me tell you, I think about that a lot because I think about the things that I've done in my life that I actually didn't get caught for.
Right.
And I found myself in a situation where I actually got misidentified and was facing life in prison. Well, I was facing 32 years in prison. I think life is considered 25, right?
Yeah, if I recall correctly, excuse me, that's Florida that happened to you.
This was in Florida, yeah. Wrong place, wrong time. They thought I was somebody else. Charged me. I ended up, and I had to go through trial and everything. And I'll give you this: they say innocent until proven guilty. You do not feel innocent until proven guilty.
No. And especially in Broward County, man. I've been in trouble down there before, Fort Lauderdale.
Oh yeah.
They dig in. They could care less if you're innocent. At least back in my day. Man, I sat one time almost over 3 years in that damn jail, innocent. Yeah. And I had some other things going on, and it wasn't until like a lawyer filed something to get the charge reduced, and then in another one, eventually you just give in, man. You like enough is enough,
Yeah.
My marriage, at that time fell apart and everything because I'm just rotting in jail, innocent on a case, writing to the prosecutor and writing to everybody involved with the case. The lawyer wasn't doing it. And it's horrible. People get caught up, man. And this is all these years later, and I could actually say, not the one I did 18 years for. I was guilty of that. And I wasn't doing the right thing. Don't get me wrong. I was a jewel thief. I was an art thief. I was trafficking cocaine, kilos, and guns. But there's times that when they can't get you for something, they're going to get you for something else.
Yeah. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was kind of getting that little nudge of, hey, this is what could have been, type of thing. But praise God, I was able to be relieved of that. And, I was found not guilty, but I lost 2 years of my life. The trial lasted, it was 2 years, and then the trial lasted like 7 days. The jury deliberated for 3 days.
Did you say you were in jail the whole time? You were out on bond messing with this thing.
I got out on bond halfway through. They gave me a pretrial release. And so I was limited, but I lost so much. I was a executive director for a major plumbing company here in South Florida. I had my house, I had my lowriders, and things were going good. I lost everything, but I gained so much more afterwards. And,
right. And now you have your understanding and compassion for things that guys go through, like you and I have been through. And
yeah,
you have a whole other perspective. Look, so when you come out of let's go backwards a little bit. You come out of Chicago, Mama gets you a house there. You're living with her. You meet a neighbor, who wants to show you a lowrider. Tell us.
Yeah. So I moved down here, and I'm in this foreign. To me, it's like a foreign place. It's new. Everything's new. I go walking around the block, and I'm walking. There's this guy who's walking on this car, and I remember thinking to myself, "Man, how's he gonna drive that car? It's slammed on the floor." And I had seen lowriders in Chicago, but they were always raised up when I seen them, and I knew they could move up and down, but I had never seen one just sitting there. And so I'm kind of walking, I'm looking at the guy as he's working on his car, and he looks up at me. And honestly, I expected him to say something like, like, what are you looking at, or something, something Chicago-ish that I would say. And he just looks at me and goes, "Do you want to see something cool?" I go, "Yeah."
This guy's got a problem or he's weird.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I gotta see this," and I'm like, "All right." So I can walk over, and sure enough, man, he reaches inside his car, and I'm still like, "What's this guy doing?" And all of a sudden, the car comes racing off the ground, and I'm like, "Whoa!" I knew right there, I had to have one. That was it. Whatever it was, I wanted one. So and that's how I got involved in lowriding.
You got building them too, I think, right? Mechanically inclined, you're building them as well.
Yes, I'm building right now. I'm actually building a 1983 Buick Regal. It is, I got suicide doors on it, which means they open backwards for those who don't know. Suicide hood, suicide trunk. I changed the shape of the windows. I added a Cadillac moonroof to it. I mean, I'm going all in on this.
Make sure we get a picture of it to throw up on the images when we get to that stage.
Oh, definitely. When it's done. Right now, she's in primer.
Do me a favor. Check your mic real quick. It seems like a little bit of feedback. Is it close to your speaker or anything?
Let me move back a little bit. Is that better?
No, it's a little worse, actually.
It's a little worse. Hold on.
That's all, man. You can't close to it real clear with anyone like that. And it's like metallic, echoey, little technical.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Does that sound better?
Yeah, just the louder and closer you get, the worse it gets. It's kind of like a happy medium. Back up a little.
All right, here.
Right about there. Yeah, that's a good zone right there. You're all like right, me, man. Zone. You get animated telling your story. So you lean again and you're going like this.
I do.
All right, so now you get
I'm moving my hands around and everything.
Right. So you got into your lowriders, you're building them, you want people to know who you are. How did you get into the art, and how did you come up with the name MagChop?
All right, so I've been in lowriding for so long, and I collected a lot of lowrider magazines. I loved having them, and so I actually used to work for an art company called American Royal Arts. They were the entertainment leader for fine art for like 25 years before he sold the company. And I remember sitting there, and I mean, I was always an artist. I used to draw a lot. I used to be able to look at somebody and draw them. And I remember asking the owner, this guy Jerry, I said, Jerry, I called him JG. I said, why is it that people pay all this money for these art? I can draw better than this, than some of these pieces. And he says, well, it's about notoriety. It's about, who you are as a respected artist. And it's about what people want them to see, what people want to represent. When someone comes in your house, if there's something on your wall that these people want something to say, this is who I am, this is what I'm about.
Right.
And I thought that was such an interesting thing because I had a bunch of stuff on my walls, but I didn't have anything like that. So I actually created my first piece of art based on that. I decided to do a collage with all my magazines. And there was really a reason behind it. I had just bought a house. My trial was over. I bought a house. And so we were cleaning out the house, and I threw away my wife's Cosmopolitan collection.
Oh, no.
Didn't know. Oh, God. It was pretty bad. Like, you stack them up, and there's like an image that comes on the brims, and she had all of that. I didn't know, and I threw it away. So she was like, all right, well, then you got to throw away your lowrider magazines.
There's an image that comes out on the what?
On the brim, like on the back part, the spine of the magazines. Right. If you stack them up, there's an image that appears. And so she had these, collections with these different.
Oh, okay, but they only match when they're stacked. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, so she tells me you got to get rid of your lowrider magazines. Now I had just had this conversation with JG, so I was like, you know what? Before I throw them away, I want to make a piece of art that really says who I am. And so I made this piece called First Impression. And it wasn't until 5 years later, when my mother passed away, that I actually started making them again.
Right.
When my mom passed away, I lost the ability to draw. I couldn't draw anymore, like with my hands. It didn't work anymore, and I didn't understand why. So my wife said to me, she says, well, why don't you make another collage? Maybe it'll help bring some of that creativity back.
Right.
So I started making them, and I was putting these pieces together. They take months to put together, and for the first 2 years, I only did like 3 or 4 of them. And I was just putting them aside. I wasn't showing anybody. I was just trying to get that art out of me because I still could see these images, but I couldn't draw them anymore. And I wanted to tell a story with them. And so my wife ended up having a friend of hers who got engaged to this guy, Steve Stock. Now, Steve Stock he was the guy that branded the Marlins and founded the world-renowned artist Guy Harvey. And so, I came over for dinner. They came over for dinner. I didn't know who he was. I just knew, I knew he worked for Guy Harvey in some way, but that's all I knew about the guy. I didn't really know who he was.
That's the nautical artist.
That's the nautical artist, yes.
Right.
He's actually the world's most renowned nautical artist. And we're at my house, and I had hung up one of the pieces, one of the collages, and he's looking at it, and we're having a conversation. But he's looking beyond me, and I'm kind of like, oh my God, this is Florida. What's walking on my wall? You know? And I look back and I see my piece of art there. And, you know, I said, you know, I kind of looked at him and he goes, I'm sorry, I'm listening to you. But where did you get that? And I was like, I made that. Like, I really blew it off. I was like, I made that, you know? And he's like, well, where are the other ones? I want to see all of them. And so I was taken back and I was like, well, what makes you think there's more? And he said, because nobody does that once. And so I was like, all right. Interesting. You know, so I took him on a little tour where I had a few of them hanging up. The rest of them were just thrown on the floor. And he's looking at me. He goes, do you know who I am? No, I'm from Chicago. You say that to a guy from Chicago.
Right. It means you did something wrong and he's some gangster who thinks he's better than you.
But that's what, yeah, you get it. So I look up at him and I go, he's not a small guy. This guy's like 6'2", you know, big guy. I go, you know who I am? And he took it like a soldier, man. He laughed and he's like, no, do you know what I do? And I said, you work for Guy Harvey. He says, nah, Guy Harvey works for me. And I was like, wow. He goes, what do you know about him? And I told him what I knew about him. And he said, well, you know, I traveled the world looking at collage art. I've seen it all over the world. And I've never seen it done this way. And he says, and, you know, to be honest with you, he says, there's universities, there's galleries, major galleries in Europe. Collage is very popular. It's actually the least popular medium in America. But the rest of the world really embraces collage art. And he says, and you're doing it like I've never seen. Which is funny because the whole time I thought I was doing it wrong. So
there's no right or wrong way when you're an artist. You just have to go with your vision.
Yes, but you know, for me, it was just I was telling my story. I was telling stories with these pieces and doing them what I wanted them to look like. And I would look at other collage artists and I was just like, man, I can't get it to look like that. It's just not working for me. I did my style, which ended up really proving to be amazing. So I had to come up with a name for the company because I was like, okay, I'm going to start a company. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all in. And when I tell you, I had like 50 different names, and I thought to myself, well, I chop up magazines, so why not name it MagChop?
MagChop.
And my wife was the only one who liked the name. Everyone else was like, I don't know if that goes. And I'm like, I like it. And my wife was like, I like it. So that's how the name MagChop came to be. The company was born. Steve helped me out with getting myself into my products made from the same people that were making Guy Harvey products. So I was able to learn right from the beginning quality.
Is Steve still in your life and everything?
Absolutely. Steve is actually got me into Le Art Noir, which is December 1st in Miami during Art Basel. Very excited. I'll have my fashion there. I'll have my artwork there. I'm not doing the fashion show. I'm only going to have some of my fashion stuff there, which features my art. For those of you who don't know, and I guess your audience doesn't know this, so what I did was I took my artwork, I put it on products. I started with my mugs, and then I went to fashion, and I put it on bathing suits, leggings.
Right, I hear you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if maybe my mic went out again. So I put on leggings and bathing suits. I've done Palm Beach Swim Week. I did Orlando. I did Miami, and I did Chicago. And let me tell you, being in the fashion world was a whole another form of art because I had to create my own patterns, my own leggings, my own designs, my own bathing suits, the designs of how my bathing suits went. My mugs, you got one of the mugs, the 15-ounce collection is, I'm very proud of these things. And what I did was I have 7 mugs in the collection. And at the end of every year, one mug retires and a new one is introduced to kind of create exclusivity, a little bit of a
right. That makes them more rare. Increases collector value.
Yes. Yes. And so I've just been building, and so I wanted to make my artwork and my products memorabilia. So I was like, okay, how do I do that? I went to the movies because I remembered when I worked for American Royal Arts, a lot of people would buy things that they saw in the movies, the art that they found in the movies.
Right.
So I would go to these directors and I'm like, hey, can I put my product in a movie? And every time I was on set, they say, I got a part for you. I got to put you in the movie. So now, I have 4 movies that I've done. 3 of them are on Amazon Prime. And I have a movie called Negativity that I shot that's actually making rounds in film festivals. We've actually won 5 film festivals with it. And then I have the movie The Squad coming out next year with Robert Lasardo and Hugo Films with Juan C. Vasquez.
Name the name of all the movies. You said you have 4 out so far?
Yeah, so I have a movie called Crossing the Line. I star in it as a coyote, getting people across the board, but I'm doing dirty stuff.
Smuggler.
I'm in a movie called Marriage Killer, which is on Amazon Prime. I appear in there briefly. Really, that was one of the films that I had my art in, and they were like, "Listen, we just want you walking around in the film." So there I was. My artwork is in Dream Killer, which is also on Amazon Prime. These are just part of that Lifetime Original Movie series: Patient Killer, Boyfriend Killer, Marriage Killer, Sick to Killer series. So I'm part of that, and then Negativity, which is doing its rounds right now. It's probably going to end up on one of the streaming services. And then The Squad, which is coming out. I have some movies on YouTube as well. One called Loyalty or Betrayal. I appear in a web series called Gabby's Revenge. So I've gotten to be a part of a lot of productions simply because I'm like trying to get my art in there. And every time the director's like, "Hey," but now I'm working with certain ones.
Do you actually have an agent yet, or a casting person that you go to?
No.
That sends you these? How do you find them? Just from showing up and networking?
Yeah, I just show up at when I hear there's doing something, I go look for producers. A lot of people and this is a secret. Let me tell you, if you're looking to network with people and learn how to do this, the one thing I didn't do was go into places and get starstruck. I look for the people that are paying the stars. I look for the people that are putting in the productions. And I went to them and said, "Hey, I have a product I'd like to put in a movie. How can I make that happen?" Sometimes you got to pay. Sometimes they pay you.
And by the way, I got a certain look that you might need.
Yeah. What's funny is because I never thought about doing that. And now a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Well, do you do auditions and everything?" I have never done an audition.
So you had speaking roles and the last 2 or 3 of them, I think. And
yes.
So do you have a SAG card, SAG eligible at this point?
I'm SAG eligible, but I haven't signed on yet.
Everybody says it's more beneficial to just do your own thing. It's not even get involved with that.
I mean, it's working for me, so I don't know.
Listen, my show on A&E Network, Inmate to Roommate, profiles me getting out of prison after 18 years for nonviolent crimes. I got on TMZ. I had 7 million views across all platforms and on Fox TV. Then
man, those people were treating you worse than prison guards. I couldn't believe what I was watching, to be honest with
you. You actually saw the whole series?
Man, and the woman, my goodness, I was like, okay. It's really disappointing because you would think that these people would want to help and want to be a little more. I was just like, come on, like, what are you doing? And then, it was rough.
It was little whack, man. They're like, I'm a Christian. They're like over the top, Seventh-day Adventist. No matter what I did was sinful, not funny. I couldn't get a ride to a store. I couldn't eat meat. I couldn't eat ice. She had a crush on me. I was writing her as a pen pal for years. They're in a horrible marriage together. I lived right in there with them, so I know. And I didn't know she started showing up in my bedroom at 10 o'clock at night. She tried to. You met Mary. She tried to break me and Mary up. Now, I'm not feeling that, man. I'm in love with Mary.
Yeah.
Mary's drop dead gorgeous, and she kept trying to break us up and this and that. And because Mary came into my life soon before my release, like 3 months before my release. Shauna was a pen pal for 5 years, and I was always very appropriate and very nice to her. But I wasn't having any feelings for her whatsoever,
Right.
And I guess she just, whatever, I grew on her. But you see her reaction in the kitchen when I call from prison. Now, I'm not there for that part of the filming. I call, Mark's there, she's in there in the kitchen, and she says, "Well, what do you want to do when I pick you up?" And I says, "How about we go to Miami for a few days,
There it is.
And she lit up bright like a Christmas tree, like she couldn't wait. But her husband, Brandon, got the phone and said, "That ain't happening, Bill," because she was coming to pick me up alone. But everybody's questioning, like, why would you drive 10 hours if you didn't have a crush on this guy, and you're married to pick up a guy who hasn't touched a woman in 18 years? I mean, that's just,
Hello.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. There was a. I'm glad you're free from prison and from prison too.
Well, I can't get into what's happening next, but this show blew up to be like the number 2 reality show in the country. I came out on top. A fan, he makes TikTok videos. He said, "Dude, I love your show." And he sent me some great videos about it. I put them on my fan pages. And then he got back to me like last week. He said, Man, do you realize your show has 10.5 million views on TikTok?
Yeah.
And I'm in.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the comments. I sit there, man. I gotta have popcorn. It's like just read the comments. I like the people that are arguing with each other for you.
I love that. I let them go at it, but I do interact with fans a lot, man. I love my fans.
I see that.
I love my fans. Now, I didn't know how to handle the trolls at first, and if they got inappropriate or said something stupid about someone I love, I would get them in Messenger and like, hey, you're hiding behind a fake profile. You're a freaking coward. I'm not hiding. I'm on TV, true crime, and you know what city I live in. But I wouldn't directly threaten anybody, but I was like getting kind of irritated.
Yeah.
The network and like my girl and the producers like, stop. You can't interact with the trolls. Yeah. Let them go away. And
that's their job, to be trolls. Let them be trolls. Don't entertain it. Yeah.
Well, guess what? In my life, it's kind of hard to ignore stupidity, especially with my background. I usually
come on now.
But what is you usually deal with it. And you got these cowards that, they work these, whatever they're doing. And
keyboard warriors.
Right. And they're just hiding in the mother's basement or whatever, cheating on their wives. And they want to give somebody who got out of prison a hard time when genuinely I'm just trying to do the right thing, man. You can call me full of shit. There's not enough track record. Guess what? I've been out over a year. I'm doing fine. Anytime I messed up before, I used coke, got myself back in trouble, But so I'm learning now to deal with them, and I can't say what's going on, but I just checked this. Like I think it's 10.7, 10.8 million views on TikTok now, up from 10.5 last week.
Wow!
And when I scroll through them, what they are is like my images everywhere. And I came out the most. Harvey Levin had me on TMZ. He's the first one to call me breakout reality star, and I started goofing around with Harvey Levin, and I had him cracking up in the interview. So, and now Mary's a regular commentator on TMZ. That she comments on different stories for TMZ. She did.
Oh no way!
Oh yeah, she commented on the Aaron Carter story. Now, for your audience who's going to see this, Mary's my fiance. She's a forensic accountant, civilian fraud examiner, drop dead gorgeous. She helps people that are wrongfully incarcerated like I do. And so she fell in love with me. I fell in love with her. And she now does some commentary for them. And the Aaron Carter story she commented on, we put it up in 2 days. I had 10,000 views. That's like more views than some of my videos.
Yeah. I actually got to meet him. He did a celebrity boxing event. And I sponsored a couple of their events, and I got to meet him. He was a really nice guy.
Do you have any photographs of you and him together you could send me? I'd like to
I never took a picture of him. I'm so horrible with that. And every now and then I take pictures with people.
You're up there on social every minute.
I am, but I don't take pictures with people as much as I'd like to. Like sometimes there's times I walk away, I go, man, I didn't get a picture with them. I wanted to, and I didn't. And I didn't get a picture with him.
I played with the little dude from Scarface,
Chichi, Angel Salazar.
Angel Salazar, right? I want to do something with him, but it seems like, I don't know. He's at
that guy's a lot of fun. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
He showed up at my house one day. I don't know.
He's not the kind of guy. I don't think I want to bring my woman around,
Oh man, let me tell you, wherever he's going, it's snowing. Chichi brings the yayo. So
I don't know anything about that. I keep down.
But he's really a trippy guy, man. We had a great time. He showed up at my house. I'm working with a brand called the Scarface store.
For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about one of the biggest stars on Scarface. He played Chichi, right?
Yep.
When there was a shootout at the hotel in South Beach. Al Pacino tells him, "Chichi, get the yay," or something.
Chichi, get the yayo.
Yeah.
Yeah, real great guy. He showed up. I'm working with the Scarface store. They have all the rights and they're buying all the images and everything. So I was doing some collage art for them. And so they came to pick up an image and pay me, and I didn't know he was coming with them. So it was really cool that he showed up at my house. I walked outside and there he was. I was like, hey, what's going on? And he actually came to the premiere of Negativity. We did a premiere.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was really nice. He came out. The Scarface team came out.
He still wears his trademark hat around too.
Yeah, the fedora. Yes, that's his thing. The shirts and the fedoras.
He's a South Cuban guy, isn't he? South Florida Cuban, or no?
You know what? I don't. He's a New Yorker. I think I don't think he's even Cuban.
What's the guy who played Manolo? It was David Bauer or something.
David Bauer, yeah.
He's not Cuban at all. He pulled it off flawlessly.
No.
And so
he's not Cuban.
I just
well, if you look at the movie Crossing the Line and the squad, my character is Mexican.
Right.
I'm Puerto Rican.
Right. Yeah, but you do fit the profile more, like, you know.
I do.
I don't want to say profile because I get in trouble, but you know what I mean.
No, I know. I do. I've had Mexicans be like, "Nah, bro, you're not Puerto Rican."
Hey, look, do you know a guy down South Florida, Cyril DePazio? You've probably seen him around, right?
I do know Cyril. Yeah, I've met a few times. I actually went to the premiere of his first preview, and that's where I met Juan C. Vasquez.
Okay, right.
He and I became friends, and so he would come into town because he had just won. Trap Plane had just won the New York Film Festival, and so he was doing work with Cyril. They were kind of like Cyril was promoting, and so Cyril was like, "Hey, come down. I want you to show what we're doing. Maybe we can collab on something." And then,
Yeah.
And then I went to that event, and the lady that was hosting it, this lady Sharon, she was telling me about how he was going to be coming back into town with a couple of other directors, and that they wanted something to do. They wanted to go somewhere. So my brother had owned a nightclub, and they asked me if I can get them into the nightclub and give them VIP or whatever. But that weekend was the weekend of Palm Beach Swim Week. So I told them, I said, well, why don't you come to my show? I got an after party, and they gave them front row at the show, and then we had the after party. And I mean, everybody from the show went to my after party. It was wild. We had a great show. Great after party.
Your brother-in-law's club, so we could give him a shout out.
Oh no, he ended up the pandemic. He closed it. It didn't reopen. Okay. It's gone. If not, I would have said it. But we ended up really hanging out that night, talking. We had a good time, and we kept in touch. Now he didn't know that I acted because I really didn't at the time. The whole time. I mean, I was doing little appearances here and there in movies only because they were writing me in for my product. So when I got the movie Crossing the Line, how I got that movie was I came out of the theater, and one of my clients was actually friends with the director, and she said, "Hey, I want you to meet this director." He looked at me, he goes, "I got a role for you." And that's how I got the lead role in Crossing the Line. And then it ended up on Amazon Prime. But I didn't know it until I was shooting Negativity. The director calls me and he's like, "Man, I'm excited. One of my actors, I got an actor whose face is on Amazon Prime." And I'm like, "No way, who'd you get?" And he's like, "Bro, you." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" So I had to go on Amazon Prime and search, and sure enough, there was my face right next to the Joker because I'm the main face on the on the box. And it was so cool.
Check that out. Say the name of that one again.
Crossing the Line.
Let's check that out. I'm gonna tell Mary. Let's watch it.
It was wild. And then I think you get it because I know it shows on the West Coast. I don't know if it's from the Midwest, West, but they stopped it on the East Coast for whatever reason. I don't know. But I'll send you a link if it doesn't work.
Yeah, please.
So then I called Juan, and I was like, "Bro, you're not gonna believe this. I did this movie," and then he was like, "Wait a minute, you're an actor?" And I'll go, "Well, no, but yeah, I was like, this is how it happens. I told him the whole story, and he's like, "Bro, I got a role for you. I want you to co-star in a movie with me." And I was like, "Let's do it." At this point, I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." Flew me out to Houston. I worked with Robert Lasardo. I mean, the guy with the tattoos all the way up here. He's in Nip Tuck. He was in The Mule. Right. Known for a lot of films. I
think he's in Mob King as well now, isn't he?
He's in Mob King as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, he sure is. And
I'll tell you real quick with Ciro, right? Ciro DePazio. Like everybody knows, I try to keep a clean show. Ciro did time. He had some trouble with the law. Completely turned his life around. He's now making movies, all kinds of movies. Mob King. I'm one of the few people in the country he sent the entire movie to already, and he allowed.
Oh wow!
There's a review of Mob King that I did on this channel, William Steele True Crime. You'll see the trailer for Mob King, and you'll see the review, which is over an hour. He trusted 5 of us who have true crime channels to be on a panel after we saw it and review the movie. And then he invited me to the VIP event where he was going out to AMC. He gave us access to all the venues. Now I could have had TMZ out there because they like me and all that, but National Enquirer, I could have had all the tabloids out there, and my media contacts will show up where I go, right? So, but unfortunately, we were struggling, still trying to get on my feet. And financially, it was a bit much for the trip, and I couldn't really find like a sponsor to help me get out there and all that. But yeah, they just came back from that a few weeks ago, and he can't talk about it. He's got, I guess, NDAs, but I'm pretty sure he sold a movie, or I don't know if it's going to be in the theaters or on what do they call them, streaming services. So, and he's doing great, man. And, I just met him through there. He's become a friend. I didn't know him when I came down to see you and Tom and everybody in Boca. Had I known him then, I would have looked him up as well.
Oh yeah, you know what? I met him when he first started with the Mob King series, and he's always treated me really good. We actually were on a radio show here in South Florida together at the same time. Well, I went right after him, he went right after me.
Which show?
We were in the Six Borough radio show in Boca, and so we did that show.
Lady Casal was running that. Casal.
Denise and Joe Rubo, and actually now I'm actually becoming a co-host of the show. I've been on the show so many times. They're actually going to have me on there quite more often.
When you do it with her, I'll come on, man. No problem.
Yeah, I'll get you guys in touch.
Yeah, I was invited on before. There was an issue that I couldn't really get on. And then the other guy, I guess we bumped heads or whatever. I just, I wasn't really
comfortable. I'm sure, misunderstandings can always be leveled out.
Yeah.
Believe me, I think that would be great for, maybe a double theme to get it all back together. It can work. that I know.
So it's all good for everybody. Publicity is good for everybody.
Oh yeah. But I had met Ciro. Really nice guy, man. I ended up knowing some people, the life I grew up with, the people I know. So I knew somebody that did time with them, and he treated my friend really good on the inside. And so, it's good to see because, people like us that have a criminal record or have done time, it's hard for others to look at us outside that light. And so, for a long time when I first started MagChop, I hid that from everybody. I hid all that personal stuff because I didn't want to be judged for that. I wanted to be judged for my artwork and for my creativity. And then what ended up happening was as people got to know me and they started learning more and they were like, whoa, wait a minute. And it actually took me a long time to get comfortable with speaking about it. And so now I'm comfortable with it because it's not who I am, it's who I was. And some of it was not even my fault. So I can't hold myself, accountable for something I didn't do.
That's exactly right. We shouldn't be, judged for the rest of our lives for mistakes we made when we were younger. In my case, it wasn't mistakes; it was deliberate. But I sure do regret it now, and the loss that I sustained, and the lack of contact with family and kids and everything. But it's what we're making of our lives now, and in my case, I know it's going to require a track record. Like I interview a retired ATF agent who knew of me from back in the day, but he knew I was good. Yeah, so he retired at an ATF Miami field office about a year ago. He's written 52 books. He gets me phenomenal views. He's an incredible guy. And he says, look, it's about the track record. The proof's in the pudding. I believe in you, and a lot of people do. And I don't think you're going backwards, man. You've seen the light, and I have. It's just I've experienced so much loss. I'm not perfect, man, but I am trying to make the best of this situation and use my stories and experiences to help people. So what are you doing now? What do you really want to give a shout out to? I know you have something big going on tomorrow. And we put
tomorrow I have the Art Noir
right here.
Yes, there it is. The Art Noir. This is a really exclusive event. I'm very excited. I'm very honored to be a part of it. They contacted ArtServe, and they asked ArtServe Fort Lauderdale to help them get some artists together for this show. And thank God I was picked because there was a lot of artists. It's hard to compete with these artists that are out there that do amazing work. But I was blessed to be able to be picked. And I'm showing 3 pieces. So that's the first thing. And then I was actually part of a comedy called Friend Draft. And it's premiering with like 5 other shorts on Saturday, but it's like a private event for like these producers and bigger companies. So I'm going to be, doing that. And then I'm going to be getting ready to go to Houston again because we're going to be shooting another movie called Northsiders. And I'll be starting in that one.
Northsiders?
Northsiders, yeah. So I'll be starring in that one as an OG. You know, I gotta have to let the grays come out for this
Well,
one.
let me know if they need somebody with 10.8 million views on TikTok and then millions of fans.
Oh, believe me, listen,
TMZ.
yeah, I gotta get you involved in more, man. I gotta get you involved in some more stuff. So, but
I appreciate it. I've only listen. I did 18 years for nonviolent crimes. I've only been out a year, man. So this is new to me. You know, this thing right here. I'm figuring it out. You know, I got.
Oh yeah.
Listen,
I'm gonna throw you under the bus. I gotta throw you under the bus to your audience, man. You should have seen him trying to figure out his phone. Like, he's like, hold on. Give it up and say, can you make this work real quick?
Yeah, I didn't know how to pay the parking meters they have out there.
Yeah.
I went to a convenience store and there's freaking Bitcoin machines. I'm like, what is that? And what the hell is
what is this?
Listen, I got requests to be an influencer. I don't even know what the heck that is. Since my reality show blew up, I'm like, what the hell's an influencer? I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I had to Google
it's a whole other world. It's so, you know, it's funny because like I you know, just doing the little bit of time I did when I got out, it's like, man, I can't imagine going away for 18 years coming out. The cars are that much faster, you know. I mean, it's like a known thing that a lot of people that leave prison die by getting hit by cars because they can't judge speed.
I know guys my age usually die of a heart attack pretty quick.
Yeah. Heart attacks and cars.
Either from vigorous activity or just from not being from all the prison. So I'm trying to take plenty of vitamins and olive oil.
Yeah. I know. And then you come out to a pandemic. Like, wait a minute. I didn't sign up for this part.
Listen to this one. So, you know, before I went to prison, right? If you spoke to your TV or the remote control, you were crazy. You know, But now, if you don't do it, you're crazy. You know.
Man, let me tell you. When I was growing up, only Michael Knight could talk to his watch. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Right.
Now everybody's doing it.
I talk to this thing all day long, and now to find out the Chinese are capturing everything I say.
Yeah, no.
Look, you have a conversation in the room. Like, you know, I'm thinking of ordering pizza tonight, and all of a sudden, like a pizza ad showing up on my phone, or, you know, I'll be talking about like MagChop, and then all of a sudden some artwork pops up on my phone. I'm like,
well, good. I hope all your listeners get.
I don't know what the hell I don't know what the hell I activated to trigger all these weird features, but it's just
nothing. These smartphones know nothing activated. They just know.
And you can't go backwards. You can't get an old school phone anymore. Like, you can't do anything, and you can't.
Listen. The way I break phones, I need one of those old Nokias. You remember the old 90s Nokia?
Right.
You could shoot them things and they would stay working.
I'll never forget. I got car insurance, right? My first car insurance since I got out. The lady's like, "Yo, you can save this if we give you a device to install your hard braking and your speed. It monitors it." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I want."
Yeah, we'll lower your insurance if we can monitor how you drive. No thanks.
Yeah,
I'm not the guy you want to monitor.
My car's probably turning me in anyway, you know.
Yeah. Everybody, they're making everything a rent.
Listen, I'm curious about your art, and I have some underlying questions, right? Because I do some art too. Okay. I've never displayed it, and it's like prisoner art. It's things you go through incarceration and with family and the struggles and the bars and this and that, and a lot of it's still up here, you know. So I was going to diversify, do different mediums. With the collage art, what's the process like? You just take a scissor and lay it down. Was there a certain type of glue or backing, or is that like a trade secret, or what? How do you actually put that thing together?
I actually just use glue, like glue sticks and magazines, and I sit there. But the thing is the image is in my mind already. I know what this piece is going to look like. It's like putting together a puzzle that's never been put together. So I go through each magazine that I have. I buy magazines. I see magazines. Sometimes I'm looking for an image. And so my magazines, it started off with just lowrider magazines, but it had to graduate into so many different diverse magazines because of the images that are in my mind aren't always captured in those one specific magazine.
So you could do something like if somebody, hires you to do a piece of art, for example. What do you call that?
That's commission.
Commission, yeah, commission piece. Yeah. They say, hey, you know, when I was 18 years old, I won an Olympic medal. Now I'm an attorney, this and that. Here's my life story in a couple of paragraphs. Can you visualize and do a piece for me that portrays who I am?
Yes. So what I do, I did a piece for the singer Chris Brown. And what I did was I had I had them send me 15 images that are very important to him.
Chris Brown is the super famous singer, Chris Brown.
Yes, that guy.
Okay.
My piece actually hangs in his daughter's room, and I have a picture of him sitting down on her bed, and it says, "I miss my daughter." And my piece is hanging right there in the background. It was so cool.
He's the one that was dating Rihanna or something, or was that?
Yes. So let me tell you, and this is an interesting story, because when they called me about the piece, I didn't know who I was dealing with. I was dealing with like somebody from his camp, right. And the girl's telling me, "We want to put this together," and she goes, "So what do you do?" And I said, "All right, I charge $125 an hour, but that time is only while I'm actually putting the piece together." I said, "I need at least 10 to 15 pictures from you that you would want to see in this piece that are going to be significant to him if he looks at them. If he's looking at this piece, I want him to relate to it like that."
Right.
So they did. They sent me all these pictures, and that's when I realized it was Chris Brown. And I called them back. "Is this Chris Brown? Like this? Like Chris Brown? Chris Brown?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean? And
Chris Brown is an artist. You sign that piece real big, man.
Oh yeah. So it was cool because he's such a known artist, and the thing is that I didn't know much about him except for he sang and he beat up Rihanna. That was pretty much what I knew.
And he threw a chair out the window at NBC.
Yeah. Like, those are the things that I knew about him. I knew that he was a singer and he had a violent side. So what I did was I really researched who he was and who is this guy for real? Who's the guy behind that the media is not showing you?
The guy behind the anger problem.
Right. It's like there's a real person behind there. And so I learned about him. I learned that he was from Tappahannock. I learned that he loved collage art. He likes anime. He likes graffiti. So I took all these images I knew. Now, one of the things that struck me that I learned about him was that the mother of his daughter was not allowing him to see the baby. And so he was in a really, really tough spot with that. Now, at the time that I started the piece, my daughter had gotten sick, and she got really sick, like in the hospital. I had to stay home with my son. We were trying to go back and forth. So what I thought about was, man, imagine this guy who's got a father. He's fighting for his kid. He can't see his kid. Here I am, a father who my kid's fighting for her life, and I can't see her. And so I really poured that emotion into the piece. I think I have it close by.
Yeah, if you could send us an image of that, I'd appreciate that as well. We could put that up as well.
Okay, so when you look at the piece, you're gonna see the story that I'm telling is he's reaching for her, and she's reaching for him, but it almost looks like she's being sucked back away. And then when you're surrounding the piece is everything that's important to him: pictures of his mom, pictures of his artwork, anime characters, images that reference his clothing line. So the piece is really about him and about his family, about his daughter. Is a very personal piece, but is actually also telling a story about how I felt where my daughter was struggling, in the hospital. So there was each one of my pieces. If you want to commission a piece, that's what I tell you. I tell you, send me about 10 to 15 pieces. It's $125 an hour. I usually take, like $500 down payment because I know it's going to be more than. They usually range out at about like 12 to like 18 hours for customer pieces. The ones that I do on for myself, they normally take 3 to 6 months. One of them took a year because I'm really pouring myself into it, and sometimes I have to find the image that I want to tell, and it takes me a while to find it.
Are you still in touch with him or his camp? Like, did he give you a shout out on social media? Or I think I saw. No. I think I saw one time. Was it you that you met with him in Miami somewhere?
No, a client of mine down here met him at a car show, and he was wearing a MagChop shirt while he's standing with them. So.
That was Bill Hoffman, I think. Was it with him or not?
It was a guy, Raul. He has a lowrider, and his son was actually son's I think it's entertainment, and so they ended up meeting. But he buys a lot of lowrider stuff for me. But yeah, Bill Hoffman, man, that's a name that I love, and I miss the guy. He passed away, but what an amazing guy. He opened a lot of doors for me.
Rest in peace. He told me some crazy stories too about his life growing up in Miami. So
Bill was Wild Bill. He was Wild Bill.
Kenny, we gotta have you on again here soon. Maybe in a few
absolutely.
Weeks. Is there anything else you want to give a shout out to? In my case, I ask my fans, please support MagChop's work, his efforts, his clothing line, his mugs, his artwork. I mean, the man's a brilliant artist. He's got vision. He's got a compassion. Commission him to make something for you. I appreciate you reaching out to MagChop. Tell him that Bill Steele says hello.
Yes. So please follow me on all social media. Everything is MagChop, MagChop. At MagChop on Instagram, MagChop_fashion is also on Instagram. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's involved with the Art Noir, Steve Stock, Ryan from Art Surf, the Art Surf family, the African American Cultural Arts Center. Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor. And I want to give a shout out to my wife and kids. You know, thank you guys for always being there and supporting me and showing me so much love. And big ups to one of my biggest supporters, Iris. I love you, and thank you for everything you've done for me. I really appreciate you. So see you guys soon.
We know you're very active on social. That's when me and you interact all the time. Why don't you try to remember to do like a live or something from the show? That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Listen, I'm definitely gonna do something. Actually, let me take a little screenshot here while you're on the. Yeah, I got it. Let's do it one more time. Yeah.
William Steele, True Crime King, for the record.
Yeah, I'll send you the picture. I definitely send you a picture. So you're in Indiana, so next time I'm in Chicago, I'm gonna come see you.
Yep. Well, check out, my first book that I wrote in prison with Gary Greenberg. He was one of the editors of the National Enquirer. That book, while I was still in prison, was doing okay. And then Nancy Grace reviewed it on her podcast. So Nancy Grace is the queen of true crime. So my girl said, "You're the king of true crime." And so now it's William Steele True Crime Podcast all across social media. Please hit like and subscribe. Check out my reality show on A&E Network. It's Inmate to Roommate, and I am Bill. I play myself. It's a reality show, man. And you guys will love it. I got millions of fans. I love you guys. I'm very grateful for all the support I've been getting and support the people I have on my show. MagChop became a friend early on. He didn't really know much about me, and he's been consistent. He's been keeping it real. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate him meeting up with us when we went to Florida. So
thanks for having me on. It was great to see you and meet your lovely woman.
All right, man. Have a great show tomorrow, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
God bless, man.